Well, hello and welcome to episode 5 of season 2 of In the Growth Space. I'm David McGlennon. I'm really glad that you've chosen to join me here today, and I'm really excited to introduce you to the two guests that I have today because they're both business owners and they're both running two multi-million-dollar businesses. And you're going to hear some really great stories from them of pushing past terror barriers and overcoming obstacles and really stories of resilience. Now, before we get into this conversation though, let me just welcome you if you're a new listener. I know that we've been getting some new folks listening in, and I'm really grateful for that and really grateful that our message of growth is reaching more leaders. So if that's you, welcome and thanks for joining us. You know, our podcast is really all about exploring and examining what it takes to grow and what it means to grow, and then hearing stories of how others have grown that will help spur us on as well. Because really hearing from others' stories can help us when we need that encouragement ourselves the most. You know, so often we hear what others have struggled with or what they've overcome, and you know, it helps to give us the energy to keep moving forward and really doing the hard things. So whether you're a leader of a team, a business owner, or a high achiever, you're going to get something that you can take away and help you along your growth journey. I've said this before, but if we want to truly grow, it just means busting through the terror barrier and feeling the discomfort of doing something new while acting anyway. And it's so good when we break through those barriers. And you're going to hear some stories of those breakthroughs today with Katy and Stefan Hiatt. And these are really two amazing business owners who are so down to earth and just hungry for growth. So first, let me tell you about Katy. Katy is an owner of 3 successful companies. She's a wife and a mom of 2. And she has a passion for facilitating growth. She began her career as a landscape architect and has over a decade of experience in commercial and residential design and construction management. And over the last 10 years, she has had a passion for becoming the best leader possible for her multi-million-dollar businesses, Plantivity LLC, 11 Logistics LLC, and her 55-year-old family business in North Carolina. She strongly believes that cultivating strong relationships is a key to successful business. And you're going to see shortly the depth of Katy's heart. But one of the things she likely won't share is that she and her husband, Stefan, have provided all of the trees and plant material for every Habitat for Humanity home built in Eagle County, Colorado, for the last 4 years. They both have such a heart for giving. And Stefan, he grew up planting trees and raising vegetables with his grandfather Hiatt, who had him out planting when he was barely able to walk. And by the time he was 6 years old, he was a young entrepreneur selling his grandfather's vegetables and fruit door to door. That's an amazing story. And in his teenage years, he had his own landscape maintenance business. And so he's been an entrepreneur from a very, very young age. And in college, Stefan studied landscape architecture. And his roommate introduced him to the new agriculture and horticulture, where he just fell in love with the touch and smell of plants. I know you're going to love meeting Katy and Stefan.
Well, Katy and Stefan, welcome to In the Growth Space. I am super excited to have you both here.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we're excited to be here.
Yeah, you know, I love bringing people on who have a great growth story, and I know that you both do. And I guess let's start kind of back. You both are entrepreneurs. You know, you have 2 multi-million-dollar businesses that you're running. So you got a lot of stuff going on. How did all of that start? I'll let you guys figure out who wants to start the show, but I promised I'd pick on Stefan a little bit too.
Well, I mean, I was in the nursery industry, kind of grew up being a ski bum, wanted the the winters off. So I tried
Yeah.
to find a career that would allow me to work as much as I possibly could during the non-ski season.
Yeah.
And so at the time I was working, sponsored by a ski company, and I was chasing the snow, chasing wherever I could go, get photos or whatnot.
Yeah.
And then my buddy called and said, "Hey, there's this great industry. You studied horticulture in college, come check out this tree farm."
Yeah.
So I fell in love with the plant industry right away.
Cool.
I got the winters off was the idea, and long and short, met this beautiful woman next to me as with her career.
Love it. Love it. Katy, how about you? So how did you fall in love with plants, let alone this guy?
Yeah, right. Well, I went to school to be a landscape architect, and
Okay.
I love being creative, and I love nature, honestly. And my mom, my grandpa were very into horticulture and gardening, and so I put those two things together and went to college, studied landscape architecture, and yeah, then this guy, actually, the story's kind of funny.
Let's hear this.
Landscape architects and nurserymen don't typically get along because I guess landscape architects are very picky. They can be egotistical.
They're critiquing our 8 years of worth of growth. You want to talk about growth mindset? I got 8 years to get a little tree to somebody's front yard.
Oh my gosh, I love it. That's truly in the growth space, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
So the
That's
story
great.
goes, I was trying to find trees for a client of mine at his nursery where he was working, and he tells it different, but he took me to see some trees that I wasn't happy with. And he'll tell you he drove me around in a figure eight, brought me right back by the same trees, and I was happy with those trees.
You did.
And for
I
some
love
reason,
it.
I decided to ask him out.
Oh, you asked him out.
Yes, yes.
Interesting. Oh,
Very.
I love it. I love it. Well, then, so how did you guys start your businesses? I'm always curious about starting your businesses and making the choice to do that, kind of I was going to say the leap to do that, because I know that sometimes when people are wanting to start a business, there's a lot of fear involved. I mean, we've talked about the growth space, getting outside of our comfort zone and kind of really going into that place where you've never been before. How did you guys do that? How did you make that decision?
Well, I'm going to step in here. I was terrified of this.
Yeah.
It's, I got to kudos to this woman. She pushed the whole entire envelope, but for me, I would give every reason not to. And, I was working for all different kind of companies, and I was super successful going from being retail sales, moved into wholesale sales, moved into, managing wholesale sales, to then starting a nursery of 800 acres for another person. Right. And then a hailstorm come wiping it out completely out. But I was still terrified, even being able to do all that, until she was like, "Hey, here we go."
Here
right.
we go.
And we had a 3-year-old, 3.5-year-old, I think at the time. I was working for someone else, and actually the recession hit in 2008, 2009.
Yeah.
And I got laid off from my job, and I went to work for a nursery. Stefan's like, "My buddy's starting a nursery. Why don't you go help him out?"
Yeah.
And but honestly, I always wanted my own business, and I don't like someone else kind of telling me how to live my life, and when my kid has to go to daycare and I can't pick her up till 6:30 p.m. and all of those things never really sat well with me. And I believed in him so much. He had so much skill and talent. And I've noticed in my growth, when I have someone else to cheer on and bring along with me, I'm super strong. And I just saw so much potential in my husband, and I knew I could do it as well. So it took several months. We wrote a business plan. We talked about it. We started dreaming about it. We came up with names. And then Stefan was at that terror barrier. He's like, "Well, we don't have the money." So I would go get loans. And I'm like, "Well, we have, we ended up with 3 loans." and then he's like, well, we don't have an office. And I went and leased an office. And so, and I didn't tell you, we had a second child on the way. And no joke, in the labor and delivery room, Stefan called and quit his job.
Oh my God.
Finally jumped on board. I'm like, really?
Oh,
Now,
you chose now. Yeah, you chose now.
now you got to be holding my hand. No, don't pick up the phone, but I gotta quit.
I gotta quit my job. Yeah.
It was like that, you know, our youngest, Hattie Mae. It's so funny because we always tell her, like, we birthed the business and you all at the same time.
Yes. Oh,
he jumped
my
on board right
goodness.
then. And I don't know if that was his push, but when everything was already in alignment, ready to go. And that's when he jumped. And we had actually taken a trip to meet some growers, right? Yeah. Cause I was pregnant, to talk to growers about, if we do this, would you support us? And they had liked working with Stefan in the past. And so his relationships paid off up to that point, and we had some buy-in. And so, but the moment he finally like let go was when we had our second child.
What was it, Stefan, in that moment that made you want to quit your job? I mean, I know that you probably had been thinking about it, but like, what was it?
Well, I mean, it was a lot of excuses, right? Like I was looking for every excuse not to. It's the recession, or I'm not good enough, or, everything. And then Katy would point out, well, that company just, they thought a whole lot about you, and you did 3 million of the 3.5 million sales for that company.
Yeah.
Here is a special.
Was it like, were they not giving you any time off with Hattie? The people he was working for at the time were not the most
ethical or
thoughtful,
people-centered, huh?
Employers. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, I get it.
So there's a lot of things that just didn't fit. Right. And I don't know what the moment was. I don't know if it was an aha moment or God saying, hey, if this can happen, anything can happen. And we just went for it. Right. And I was just like, I'm so grateful for taking that, that leap. Right. Like, and it's funny because I've been growing up, I was an adrenaline, kid.
Of course.
Nothing scared me, right? Nothing scared me when it came to adrenaline. I'll try it. Why not? But here, like me running my own business, like, whoa, that seems so complicated. And to some other people, the same thing happened to them, right? I'm just, barely graduated high school, went to college, didn't like any of the core classes that I had to take, and then fell in love with, because my roommate's dad owned 10,000 acres outside of Missoula, who I'd never met before. Right. Yeah. He's like, well, you could become a ranch hand at the farm, because, and as I go in there and here's all these cool plants, horticulture. And I just fell in love with smelling different kind of plants and all that kind of stuff. And it was like, yeah. And you get the winters off. And I was like, sign me up.
Operative word. I get the winters off, huh?
Right.
I love it. Well, that's cool. I mean, because, so it took kind of a pivotal moment for you then to really take that leap and really get outside of your comfort zone. And I'm kind of curious, Stefan. I mean, how do you sense that even today, that discomfort? I mean, has it gone away? I mean, what's your, you've been running a business now for, how many years, and wondering if it's, still uncomfortable.
Well, I think it's always going to be uncomfortable, right? Because we get comfortable, and then you have to, how do you move forward? You got to get uncomfortable, right? So, and that's with anything, right? Like if you're sitting on the couch, you got to get up. It's uncomfortable. To, hey, I'm out of shape, I got to go get on the bike or go put on the running shoes. It's uncomfortable. Yeah. All those things are in the process. So if you can, feel the confidence enough in yourself to just like, I can do that. I can, I can take one step forward and just see what it gets me, and then take another step. Yeah. To me, that's what it, was a lot about. When we started our second company, 11 Logistics, it was just, again, we're starting this right to November of 2019. Yeah. What happened 3 months later? Yeah.
Yeah.
We actually launched it right when COVID hit. So,
really? Oh my goodness.
And to answer your question, I think with our growth, one of the most important things is surrounding ourselves with people that are either further ahead of us or know more in certain areas than we do.
Love that.
We jumped on a call with our business coach and mentor, and we were like, are we crazy for doing this?
Yeah.
And, we walk them through everything, and it's like, sounds like to me, you guys just need to go for it. And what's the worst that can happen? And that's the question he asked us. And you start, and it's the same as Plantivity. And I'll tell you, that first summer we loaned that company money, and about June we really started. It's a logistics company. We started shipping in April, and like June, mid-June, late June, I was like, we are losing money.
Yeah.
And I lost our money to this business.
Yeah.
And I had one of those moments. It's kind of funny. I feel like Stefan and I balance each other well, because like he said, you should see me when I'm standing on the edge of that cliff with my skis on. And he's like, just jump. It's no big deal. And I'm like, I don't know. But yeah, when we're going for a business, Stefan's like, I don't know. And I can help him there. But with 11 Logistics, that first summer, I just freaked out. And it's funny because a lot of times I'm the one that was calming him down about cash flow. Oh, it's coming. We got it. But the tables really turned. And he's like, well, maybe we just need to give it a little time. Maybe and let's sit down and look why this is happening and what we can change, and kind of brought me back to that place of okay, take a breath, readjust, and then trust yourself. Just sometimes we forget, we get caught up in the moment, and the anxiety and the fear, we let it get to us. Like
the emotion
state of we're either creating kind of positively moving forward, or creating in that negative zone. And I think that's a big check. You have to check, like, where are you using that
right? What are you imagining? Right?
Right.
You like, I imagine myself living a bigger and better life, I've always been a very picture person, so I've always seen myself in those adrenaline moments conquering, right? So it took, with Plantivity, Katy kept on giving me that picture. So then I think it was just finally like, I am going to be successful, right? Like, I am going to be this. And with 11, I think, if we just, freight's not going to go anywhere. And with COVID, I mean, I started thinking like, wow, there's going to be more and more stuff going to be shipped if we're all locked down and we're all not going to go anywhere. So I I just started thinking through like, well, something's going to change, right? Like, something's got to change. I mean, everybody wants toilet paper. So how's that toilet paper going to get here?
Right.
It's
got to get here somehow, right?
It's got to get here somehow. So like, I was, to me, it's also thinking through it, like something's,
don't let the emotion take over. Bring yourself back around.
Well, and it's kind of nice from what I'm hearing too. You guys have each other, and to me, that's got to be a rare thing to be able to have a husband and wife team to really like balance each other out and really help each other to kind of either pull each other back from the cliff if needed, or push, when you need it too. I mean, that's got to be I think it's a rare thing to be able to have a couple really work well together.
Yeah. I mean, everyone asks that question, right? Like, how
do you work with
how do you guys work together? And I'm like, it's my best friend. I think, like, just like what you said, like the two of us together, it's like, I feel like we're unstoppable.
We're really strong as a team, and we see that. And we one big lesson for me, which we kind of told you before we started the podcast, is I have to listen. Imagine that. I have to let him have some input too. But it's kind of fun to see our growth and where we came from, and when the tables do change, and recognize when he can step up and kind of give me some strength and support, and when I need to do that for him as well. And it's in all of life, our parenting and our businesses,
everything. Marriage, parenting. Right.
It's got to be just an amazing to have an ally like that, to be able to work together and really know that they've got your back. Each of you got each other's back. So what's been the biggest challenge for you, as you started a business in the pandemic, and you've begun to grow that now, and growing the other business? What has been some of the biggest challenges for you, or a biggest challenge?
Yeah, well, it's funny how it evolves and changes. When we were starting our company, my parents they bought my grandfather's business when I was probably 8 or 9 years old.
Okay.
So I've seen them grow that business.
Yeah.
I was talking to my dad and he said, cash flow, cash flow, cash flow.
Yes.
You
Yes.
can make money and still go down. So in the
Yeah.
beginning, I was just so focused on it.
Mhm.
But you also have to tap into that belief of knowing it's coming, trusting yourself. And for
Mhm.
me, it's trusting kind of the higher power as well, and just
Yeah.
believing that, everything's okay. It will be okay. And we're going to keep going no matter what.
Mm. Love that.
That was, I think, the beginning. The cash flow thing was our biggest,
Yeah.
like 2 a.m. Oh my God, honey.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I wake him up at 2 a.m. freaking out. And then we talk about it. And then I go back to sleep and he's like, and then I can't sleep.
And then he's
Right,
up.
right? Because I'm in sales mode of like,
Right.
well, geez, then I better start selling some more,
I
right?
gotta
And I
sell
just
some more,
go to
yeah.
bed at midnight, building trucks, finding more growers, buying more plant material, whatever you may have it. So it was
Yeah.
always this like, you're hold your breath, everything's gonna work, and it did, right? And I think if people step into that of
Yeah.
putting their effort in the right place,
Mm-hmm.
not being a neg Nelly and
Yeah.
thinking, okay, this is gonna work. I'm gonna get this to work,
Sure.
and then step into it. Okay, I'm not getting paid, so I need to call that guy and
Uh-huh.
hey, can you pay? Like,
Yeah.
and just have a real conversation with people,
Let's just work with me. Yeah.
right? Instead of the speculation of imagining what that person may be or
Yeah.
their feelings. It's having real conversations with yourself and with others of
Yep.
what are the expectations.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think some of I'll tell you, our main core values relationships. And
Yeah.
it's our tagline for Plantivity is rooted in your success.
Love
And
that.
it's kind of a combination of that. Like, I think it's Zig Ziglar that says, if you can help
Yeah.
enough other people get what they want, you'll have anything in life you want. And
Yeah.
we just have always tried to build strong relationships,
Mhm.
nonstop. And I think falling back on that, even today, customers that would never buy from us, they're our biggest customer now. It takes time, but if you just keep planting the seed and doing the right thing, and we were adamant about paying our bills on time. We were adamant about just taking care of our
Clear
customers.
communication, doing the right thing,
Yeah.
always stepping into what do I need to do to help this person succeed,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
What Zig Ziglar said, or Albert Einstein said of, these things are vital to the success of the business, and it's your name, right?
Mhm.
It's your
Yeah.
name that's on the line.
Yeah. So
And
you had some core behaviors that you really adhered to, like paying your bills on time and making sure you're not stretching that out. And I love that. And those are really important. I think any business owner who wants to grow and really excel has to have some of those, not just core values, but some of those success behaviors as well.
Right. Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's not easy.
Yeah, right.
We had 3 lines of credit.
Sure.
We must have had like 6 credit cards because the bank wouldn't give us a high limit. So you
Oh,
have to
yeah.
open a whole nother credit card. Now our bookkeeper's like, why do we have like 8 credit cards? And we don't use
Sure.
them. But and that's where relationships come in too, calling American Express and say, hey,
Yeah.
we really, we're going to pay it this month, but we need a little higher limit. Can you help us out? And just
Yeah.
growing those. So with in every area of the business, it's really proven to just help us. And our other goal is like, if we can help our customers be successful, if we can help the growers we buy from be successful, then kind of the byproduct is our own success, because
Sure.
we're a middleman, we're a broker.
Yeah.
So we have like 2 sides to balance. We have to keep our
Right.
growers happy because that's the only reason we have products. And we
Mhm.
have to keep our customers happy because they're the ones buying the products. So
Yeah. Yeah.
you are asking about hardships. So when
Yeah.
we first finally convinced Stefan to do this,
Yeah.
our first job was a volunteer planting at our daughter's elementary school.
Okay.
it was before she was there. And we had ordered all these plants, organized everything. 200 volunteers were showing up to plant the material.
Okay.
Well, what was it, 5 or 6 days out, the truck driver picks up the material.
Oh, no.
And Stefan gets a call, like, well, I don't remember if you called him or he called you, but he was picked up in Oregon. He had gone to Washington to his mom's house to pick up a TV.
Okay. Oh, no.
On his way. And
Oh,
I'm like,
God.
okay, no big deal.
And to keep this in place, this is our very first truck,
Oh, no.
our very first cell.
Oh,
So,
no.
this is anybody listening to this.
Yeah.
This is the very first thing, the
Oh.
very first thing that we're trying to get down the road underneath the brand name company called Plantivity.
Oh, my God.
And it goes awry. It just goes, this guy doesn't.
Well, and I'm like, Stefan, it's okay. He's going to do fine. And Stefan's like, oh boy, I've had truck drivers like this before.
And you're thinking,
then
oh my gosh.
The next day we get a call and he's like, I got in a fight with my boyfriend and he took the truck keys to Arizona.
No.
I'm stuck. We're like, what? And so Stefan's starting to freak out. And I'm like, no, we're gonna give him a bonus. Surely he can figure this out. Like, and so we're offering the guy cash and it just gets closer and closer. And then I think the night before the delivery is supposed to happen, he calls Stefan. I don't want to be a truck driver anymore. And
Oh, no.
Stefan's like, just get here. We'll have this talk. I'll be your counselor. I'll help you figure out your life, but just get the truck
Just
and the
get it
keys.
here. Oh my gosh.
Guess what? He showed up not the day the 200 volunteers showed up, the next day. So we
Oh.
bought everything local for about 5 times the cost, got it onto the job site for the volunteers last minute. And then the truck driver showed up the day after everything was planted.
Oh,
2
my
days later.
goodness.
But it was just like,
So it was
Wow.
definitely a rocky start.
this is how we're starting this business. Did I do the right thing?
Did I do
Wow,
this?
sweetie. Well, thanks for so
Yeah.
much for encouragement for me to quit my jobs to do
Right.
this. Right? I
I
thought I was
ju-
gonna be selling plants, not a psychiatrist.
Yeah, exactly. I jumped and it was kind of a rocky road on the way down, right? A bumpy road.
That cliff was very steep and I'm still falling here.
Yeah, no kidding.
Anybody want to throw me a parachute or some wings? 'Cause I'm at and it just took time, right?
Yeah.
We did the right thing. We went and got everything, got in my little pickup. I drove around, I got stuff delivered.
Yeah.
And we had to pay 5 times the price,
Wow.
but we did the right thing. And that's, I mean, again,
That's
you got to
comes
step
back-
into these things that are
well,
just
yeah. Comes back to your core values, right? I mean,
Right.
what you really believe, and it's your name on the, on the business. So
Right.
Yeah.
We can't go
Yeah.
tell them, oh, truck driver.
oh, I'm
Dan.
so sorry. I can't do that. I don't know for you to do about your 200 volunteers, whatever.
Yeah.
No.
that's
no.
not going to
No.
happen. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You made a
Wow.
promise to deliver that stuff. You do it. Whatever it takes, you do it.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I love that. I love hearing that story because here's the reason why I love it is because you sometimes business owners who are starting a business think that it's going to be, rainbows and unicorns. And it's like, I'm going to start this business and it's just going to
Right.
going to explode. I'm going to exit the business with a, 20 times EBITDA and all of this great stuff. And yet the first day, the first project out of the gate could be, if you're
Yeah.
not willing to push through it, could be your last, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And I get it, right? Like, I mean, we all see these successes, but I guarantee you everybody's success has gone through some wall like that.
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
All-
Yeah.
And not just one.
Not just one.
Yes.
And you're going to go through more, right?
Right.
I mean, every year there's always a battle, but you
Yeah.
get through it and you do the
Yeah.
right thing.
You
Absolutely.
learn. We didn't, you just learn. Each
Yeah.
time you learn a little more and then you get a little more comfortable.
Mhm.
And I think as you grow, it changes what
Mhm.
throws you off and then, the money gets bigger, you get more comfortable maybe with cash flow or something like that. But then you have these, other problems. Last year we had a guy ship a bunch of product from Canada and it got to Aspen Valley and it was delivered to a very high profile house and it all got rejected because it had bugs, and we
Oh,
couldn't
no.
send it back to Canada. We couldn't, because Canada won't let you cross the border again. And
Right.
we had to destroy everything.
Wow.
Because
Oh
the
my
Department
goodness.
of Ag was on us, our customers on us. It's
Yeah.
another one of those things. And that was a $30,000, like, ouch. And
Wow. Yeah.
we didn't get it back. We have an $8,000 credit with that grower that
Wow.
we can't buy from.
That we can't
Yes.
buy.
We wouldn't buy from either, but
Yes, right. But you can't. Yeah.
but it's those, it doesn't ever stop. It just changes. And I think that's where that faith and that trust comes in, that, if you just keep taking that next step and doing the right thing, you're gonna get there, you're gonna figure it out.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about, so, metaphorically, we're talking about growth, but actually you guys are in the growth business, growing, plants and trees and all of these living things. But you as business owners, so one of the things I think I heard both of you say is you've really been investing too in your own personal growth. How has that impacted your business? I mean, Katy, you talked about, your business coach, and I know enough about you guys that you've been in masterminds and you've really been investing in yourselves. What's the impact of that? And maybe, like, how did you get involved in that?
Yeah. Do you want?
Well, I mean, I leave it. It's, she's the one who pushed me into it. I was reluctant, thought I knew everything.
Sure.
Yada, yada, yada. Right. I've been doing this for so long.
Yeah.
And I got to say, it's 100 times fold. It just, right. Your awareness changes.
Sure.
I think that's instrumental for anyone's success, is to be able to, not get caught in the situation and have the awareness to, to look at all different perspectives.
Right.
And I'll tell you, so when we first started, I just knew I had to get better. Right.
Sure.
So I don't know QuickBooks, but I have to, and my mom in college, I called my parents and I said, I have insignificant funds in the ATM, Mom.
Insignificant. I love it.
And my dad's like, was that insufficient, Katy? And here I am managing the financial side of 2 multi-million-dollar businesses now. So I didn't start there. My mom tried so hard to get me to balance my checkbook. But anyway, I thought, well, I'm going to join the business peer groups, and we lived outside of Denver. So I found the SBDC. I joined those groups, and, a lot of it was about business. They would bring in some about personal growth, just little bits and pieces. But I thought, I need to grow business wise. I need to know this more. I need to understand it more. And then, I think Jim Rohn, someone introduced me to Darren Hardy. I think Jim Rohn was the first one I saw his quotes.
Yeah.
And why not me? Why not now? I think I had that on my board.
Yes.
But I eventually, you have to grow on the inside to grow on the outside. And I just started realizing that there was something missing. I was learning how to do business better and all these things more, but we still weren't really satisfied. And it was just that longing inside, like there's something more. And I think that I started reading business development books, but then it kind of started tying in. I think I got John Maxwell's leadership journal or something.
Okay.
And then I found out about the John Maxwell team. And that's when I really started learning, like, you have to grow on the inside to be more on the outside. And really, once you get that and really start understanding it, your whole world changes.
Right.
Just your relationships, your ability to just let go of fear, I think, and that trust I was talking about, but also you just see the whole world differently and understand kind of the bigger meaning, the bigger picture to kind of why you're doing all this. And it's not just about money, and it's not about the reports, and there's so much more to it. So.
Yeah. Well, and what keeps you, like, going back for more self-developments, more personal growth? Because I mean, I'd love to, like, get your perspective on Turning Point, because I know that you both were there, and I know that you really, leaned in, and because I saw you guys doing the exercises together. It was so cool. So what keeps you coming back, and like, why did you even come to Turning Point?
Yeah. Do you want me to go? Or?
I just liked, for me, it was surrounding myself with people like mind.
Yeah.
Right? Those
Yeah.
people are all there wanting to learn. They're
Mhm.
open-minded.
Mhm.
They're growth-oriented.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's only positive feelings coming out of that. Like,
Yeah.
it was just amazing to be able to, every single person there is wanting to grow and do or have more, right? Like, they're wanting that. They're
Yeah.
hungry for that. And that's what I am. And
Yeah.
you go around here, we live in a town of 5,000. There's not that kind of people. I mean, there's people out here that are, but like, not to that energy,
Sure.
not to that, wanting it so badly for a change and see the greater good of things.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure. I was a college athlete. I from the time I was probably 4 or 5 years old, I wanted to go to the Olympics.
Okay.
And first it was running, and then it was gymnastics, and then I grew too much and it was swimming. And
Yeah.
so
Wow.
I always had that, like, I want to be better. I want to get better. And I think I kind of innately learned that you have to do more than most people to get to the next level.
Yeah.
And now I don't know if that's kind of what planted that seed, but I just always want to be more. I want to be better as a mom, as a wife, as a leader to my employees. Like, I just always feel like there's more, and I know I can do better. And it's just in me. Like, I really always want to, but once I figured out that you really can't, like, you have to work to find the people to surround yourself with.
Yeah.
It's not, and I think that came through John Maxwell and then Paul Martinelli, and I'm just starting to understand mastermind groups, and I've had a women in business group, actually a mastermind group, and we're all over the country. It's not like you can go next door and say, hey, let's talk about personal growth.
Right.
Self-image mastery. And
exactly.
it's just, you have to really reach and kind of search for those people. And so, Stefan and I think
you do. You have to just go, you got to seek it out.
Be proactive, right?
Right.
And then once you're surrounded with a group that's in that place and really supports you, and I feel like there are no limits. And I feel like you need that support. Just like our trees grow, you have to have the fertile soil.
I love it.
Right. Like Turning Point, I think Paul said, a lot of people are not going to follow you, and they're, they may even be critical of you.
Right.
Your own family, family is going to be critical.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you have to let go of that. Like, right. Like,
and seek out the ones that will support
you. I grew up in a horrible house that was, you can't do that. You can't do this. You can't do that. And you're like, why?
Why not?
Why?
Yeah.
And it's just because they didn't.
They were limited.
They had their limited, their programming as well. Well, it's interesting you say that, because I know that one of the people who was at Turning Point told his buddies what he was doing. And they were like, you're doing what? You're going where? You invested how much? Are you crazy? And, he told me then later, he said, the closer we got to Turning Point, the more they were texting me like, okay, hey, how's it going? And what's been happening has been good and all that kind of stuff. So, I think sometimes we can have an effect on other people that we don't even realize that we're having that effect. And, it takes us, though, being proactive, finding those people that are our people that help support us, challenge us, and push us to the next level. So
that's what changes the world.
And I think
exactly.
Not being scared to talk about it, because a lot of times you do feel so different when you're starting to learn all this. And I know me, it was like a little bit scary, even with Stefan, like when I started with John Maxwell and learning all this, and the people closest to you are sometimes like, it's that you're changing. What's wrong with you? Who are you?
And what did you do with my wife? Right.
And you have to take kind of a leap of faith there too, and start sharing that with others. Cause like you said, it's amazing. You don't even realize who it's changing, and people, how you're helping others to see. And we do this with our teams a lot, and start introducing them to growth. And
That's awesome. Yeah. So, I mean, how do you invest in your people? Talk a little bit about that, because one of the things that I have often said is that you really can't grow a company unless the people that make that company up are growing too. I mean, you really have to have that, that fertile soil, that environment to be able to grow. So how do you guys invest in your people? How do you help them to grow to the extent that you can and that they want to?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we really encourage people to have kind of I don't know if it's a balance, but whatever their interests are, we want to help them develop that too. We
Yeah.
understand that you can't be happy if you only, I mean, we've both been in jobs where it's just like work, 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 and you have to stay here till this and you can't do that. So we encourage growth in that way with them kind of pushing other parts of their life that they have interest in. But we also do a lot of coaching with our teams. We bring in programs.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And we,
I'm not a micromanager.
Yeah.
I think the big thing, like what a lot of people want, they want goals.
Yeah.
Right. But they also don't want somebody standing over them telling what they're doing wrong.
Yeah.
So let them be adults. I'm not here to babysit you.
Set the expectation.
And set the expectation of like, we're all here to win. Not one of us is better than the other.
Mm-hmm.
We're all building this business together.
Yeah.
And each part of the spoke is important to this wheel, right?
Yeah.
Like it all has to work together,
and we pay for classes. So I'll announce, Barb was teaching a class. I can't remember a few. So it was for women. So I invited all the girls that work for us, we'll cover this. If you guys take it, this is when it is. And so, we have it in front of them and offer it to I think,
sales
and we
boot
try
camp.
to
We
have,
took everyone to that.
I remember that because I was there. Yeah.
We had a business coach through, the empowered living.
And Jenna Armada's coached our team.
Right.
So.
Like,
Awesome.
there's a lot of that.
Yeah.
She and I are getting, personal coach, that. So
Yeah, we do a lot of it. And I think too, we try to use our core values and get a coach to help. A lot of times we did that with our team. We kind of work on our core values and how we're using them in our lives. And we just always keep trying to include little things. I would love to take the team to like a turning point, how cool would that be?
That'd be cool. That'd be cool. Yeah. That's awesome. Well, and speaking of that, so I have to ask you, as you think about Turning Point, what was your biggest takeaway from that event? And I'd love to like ask each of you. I don't know if it's the same, but I would love to ask you, like, what's your biggest takeaway?
Sure.
Go ahead. I got a good one.
Okay.
I think I was really trying to work on, I've had a hard time with being okay with my success, being okay. And also being able to share it with others. I've always kind of downplayed who I was in my success because I felt bad for others in my life that didn't have it, or I don't know, as one of these things. And I was always thought everything had to be fair. And if you're kind of rising above that average, then you're making other people feel bad. And so it's been something I've had to kind of work through and grow through, and I'm still working on it. But that was one of my biggest things at Turning Point, is I was really challenging myself to step into, speaking that I am successful and that's great. And I'm proud of myself, and my higher power that's what he wants from me, and how he created me to be. So I should be proud of it. So that was one of my biggest kind of growth moments and experiences there. And to have my husband there with me was really powerful.
That had to be cool. That had to be really cool.
That was fun.
Stefan, what about you? What was yours?
So one of the things that I do, I don't know if you're familiar with the DISC assessment, but I'm a high D.
Okay. All right.
Right. So I'm a driver. Let's do it. Let's get it done. I'll live with my mistakes. So I really took a step back in this to just help, right? And do the best I can to help other people become better, right? And I wanted to learn how to do that because I don't feel I can grow these businesses to what I want them to be. I can't do it by myself. I can't do it with Katy. It has to be through a team of people. So it was nice for me to step back, be the last one on everything, and let other people and encourage other people to try their risk or to try their new, a different, something that they would never have done before. And it was nice to see that. And like, we were up on one of those huge obstacles up there in the sky. And it was nice. Finally, one of these gentlemen, he just all of a sudden just looked at me, and it was a completely different look than 15 minutes earlier on the same obstacle.
Yeah.
At the beginning from at the end. And he was asking me if I was okay.
Really?
Right. He had all of a sudden grown all this confidence while being 60 feet above the air.
Yeah.
He was telling the whole team how to move across a certain, this obstacle. Like, he took complete control of it, and he made everyone in that, like, everyone listened to him, and everything, done. It was just like, wow, like, you can see the change.
Interesting. Yeah.
To see these people, like, there's an Barbara, right? She's what? She's 78 years old up there, 71 or something like that up there. Like holy Susan, like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was amazing.
And I think like you can bring that back to our teams and say, where do we prevent them from stepping into that leader that they are and that they have within? Like, how much as business owners are we kind of either trying to control things or think we know more or whatever it is as the leader? And if we could just stop and take a step back and be quiet and see what they do and how they perform, isn't it amazing?
Yeah.
I learned from his too.
Yeah. No, that is great. Yeah, you guys get the double bonus because you can kind of learn from each other, right?
Right. I mean, for me, that was my element, right? Like, I was in my element, being way up there, high off the ground. I wasn't like, so it was really nice for me to be able to see everyone else stop, look at these people, right? Like, slow down a second and help them feel comfortable. Just because you are doesn't mean they are. So take a second and recognize where you can help.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like, so I think what I'm hearing you say too is you kind of stepped out of that when you from the D disc, profile, you stepped out of that D and, probably came across the other side of the line and was more of an S, try to support people and really for a moment or two or a few hours anyway, really be able to kind of switch and switch off that part of your personality, which that takes a lot of, emotional intelligence, and it takes a lot of effort too, I'm sure.
Right. But it was also a lot of growth for me to be able to recognize that, like, hey, dude, you can't be this, race car to red light all the time.
True.
Slow it down, help your employees and allow them to grow to be the next general manager or the next top salesperson, right? Because you're going to do this all your life and then try to have complete control of everything. I sure as hell hope not.
Yeah, right. So I love that. Well, Stefan and Katy, I know that it's been a delight to have you guys here and just sharing your journey, sharing the growth of not only your business, but your personal lives as well. And we didn't even get into some of the other challenges I know that, you guys have faced, and maybe we'll have to do round 2 for a podcast, but certainly I'm grateful for you guys being here and sharing your story. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anytime.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you for
having us.
Absolutely. It's totally my pleasure. Well, if people want to get in touch with you and know more about Plantivity and your other, what was your other business called? 11 Mile? No.
11 Logistics.
11 Logistics. Yeah. 11
with 2 L's. ELL. So the 11. It was a marketing thing. It doesn't go well with spell check, but really cute marketing.
I love it. So how do they get in touch with you guys?
Yeah. So our website is plantivity.net and 11logistics.com. Those are 2 ways they can learn more about us.
Awesome.
Plantivity has a Facebook page, And everyone bear with 11 Logistics because we've been growing so fast. We haven't caught up to the growth. So coming soon, we'll be on social media more. But right now, yeah. And then Stefan Hiatt and Katy Hiatt, we're both on Facebook. Stefan's on Instagram.
Awesome.
So yeah.
Awesome. I will make sure we put that in the show notes, and so people can connect with you guys. I'm sure that you'll have some leaders who are listening to this that will want to reach out and connect. So
we would absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thanks, guys. I appreciate you guys being here.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So, one of the first takeaways for me anyway, from this conversation is that starting and building a business is all about courage and taking a step in the direction of your dreams, even when adversity presents itself. And quite honestly, every business owner and every leader is going to face adversity. Trust me. If you haven't yet, you're going to. But just taking a step, even when you face adversity, you just have to be able to take the step and feel the fear anyway. There were two other things that Katy and Stefan shared that I think are really important. And the first is what Katy said about Stefan. And I don't know if you caught this. It was really early on in the conversation. She said, I believed in him so much when she was talking about Stefan and starting the business. And man, somebody that believes in you like that, you've got to have somebody like that around you. And she also said that, she knows that when she has someone else around her to bring along with her and cheer on with her, she's super strong. And I think that that's just really important to understand. I think for a lot of us is that if you're starting a business or if you're beginning any new endeavor, you have to be able to have others around you to help you when your own belief falters. And having that inner circle to cheer you on when you need it, or quite frankly, even kick you in the backside when you need the push to get through that terror barrier, it's so important in the growth process. And I know that, like, for me, I don't want to let my inner circle down because they're believing in me. And so it helps me to be strong when maybe I might not be on my own. So the power of others is super strong. Now, the second thing that both of them shared was really about the power of harnessing our imagination to see our success. By seeing yourself as successful and allowing the vision that we have guide us rather than allowing our emotions to take us down a wrong track is really something that I think is important in every growth journey. And as I listened to them share their story, I also heard really 3 fundamentals that are so important for anyone to adopt. You don't have to be a business owner, but those fundamentals were: first, do the right thing; honor commitments was the second one; and find a way was a third one. Those are 3 behaviors that I heard them articulate as they started their business and in the process of growing their business. And quite frankly, all of these are really key to being successful and growing both personally and professionally. And I guess on top of that, then investing in the business owner and the people that are on the team, just continue to help keep the company growing so that you can serve more people. I've always said that you can't have a growing company unless the people within it are growing too. So that means doing new things. That means trying new things. And it's really all about continuing to make progress. And I really appreciated the authenticity of Stefan and Katy in this conversation. And I really appreciated them sharing their own growth journey with all of us. And if you liked it too, please just do me a quick favor and scroll to the ratings part of your podcast app and give us a 5-star review. And then also share a review while you're there. Just maybe add one of the things that impressed you the most from today's episode. And if you're not subscribed yet, please hit the subscribe button. And I'd love to also be in touch with you just in a more personal way. Every week I write an email to my community to encourage them and and just really further our collective growth around leadership and business and community. And in the show notes, you'll see a link to my website. It's simply davidmcglennon.com. And when you scroll to the bottom of the site, you can join our email community. I'd really be honored to have you a part of that community. Now, on the next episode, you're going to hear from another leader who is a founding member of the Emerging Leader Inner Circle. And you're not going to want to miss the causativity of Cosimo Bisceglia. You're going to just love him. You're going to love his energy. And so make sure that you check in the episode next week. So until then, though, keep growing and be well.